What's up, guys? It's John Dominique, aka Prize Pictures. Kind of want to go through my camera roll for the shoot that I did this past weekend at the beach. Just kind of show you guys my thinking process. Hopefully this is helpful to some people who are interested in seeing how the creative process works, at least in my head. It was a cold day. I think it was like Friday morning, and I decided to go to the beach. Wind was blowing pretty hard. It was early in the morning. I had a few hours to kill because my shift didn't start till around 11 or so. I just kind of want to give you guys some examples here. I'm going to go through my camera roll and just show you some of the photos that I came away with on that morning. You can see this first photo is like a picture of the moon, and you know, all the pictures I make aren't the best. I have to make a lot of bad pictures to come up with some good ones, so I hope people don't feel like pressured to feel like every picture they take has to be a banger. I'm only basically just trying to come away with one, maybe two good pictures every time I go out. And this was, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 hour outing, so you know, I came away with more than one good picture, but I just want to use one as a good example to show for the 2 or 3 hours that I was out. I just want to have one good one to show. And so that first picture, you know, I like to get off to a good start and take a picture of something, even if it's something bad sometimes. As you can see, that's not a great picture. The next picture is like, I'm looking at this, what is that, like a water tower out there near the beach, and always try to do something with that when I see it. You know, I frequent this place a little bit, and it's not the first time that I've been there, but every time I see this water tower, I try to make a picture out of it somehow. I'm trying to get creative with it, you know. Here's another picture of the moon again. There's the water tower. The sun was just kind of starting to come up, and you know, I was just trying to get a couple of angles, trying to see if I could get anything going on there. Now, I think there's some birds that live on top of that water tower, so I tried to take a picture of that water tower framed in between the trees to make it look somewhat like it would be a good picture. But you know, just get creative with it and just kind of have fun with it and just see if you can decorate it to make it something interesting. The lighting was good, which I was happy with, and you can see there's a bird flying right next to that that water tower. I was trying to get to a place where I could get an interesting foreground with my picture with the bird in there, but it didn't quite work out because, you know, the timing, you have to be like right in the right position. Sometimes you have to wait, sit in one place, you see a scene, but you're waiting for the right subject to come through. As I moved on a little bit, you can see there's the moon there, and I'm taking pictures with the picture of the palms before that in the front as a foreground element. There's another picture of that water tower. Now, I got out to the beach and it was super windy, and I thought to myself, this could make a good video, and I did take a little video, but not a lot. But you know, I took pictures of that wind because it was interesting with the way the sand was and the way the wind was blowing, and there was a man out there in the top left corner, or somebody, or a man or a woman, and you can see that in the picture, and I thought maybe it might make a cool little picture. I don't know. And I don't know if I took this picture on the beach. Yeah, I did. I took that picture on the beach right there of that little, that's some grass or whatever. The sun was just coming up, and it was just starting to come out, and you can see the water out there. There's another picture, and there was some grass and some dunes and some like some waves in the dunes, and you can get really creative with that kind of stuff. And I did come away with some good pictures on this earlier, but the wind was just kicking too much, and I wasn't finding much foreground element, and I wasn't getting the right angles. I think I was using a 90mm for most of these shots. Now this started to get interesting. You know, there were some birds flying by, and then you could see in the tall grass, the grass was kind of wavy, and the birds were kind of like almost, they were flying like in a pattern, in a wave, and it was kind of cool looking. And I got in front of that grass to kind of give some foreground elements, and they kind of like are weaving in and out of that grass. Almost, it makes it look like they're coordinating with the grass when they're in their flight, which is cool. And you know, I saw these birds coming through, and I took pictures. I couldn't really get under them, but I just wanted to make sure that I got good angles and good lighting, because that's what really counts to me in my pictures, at least, is lighting. That's the most important thing. So I always try to position myself to get the best possible lighting. And so I did what I could with these birds. My camera has a good burst mode, so I got enough pictures. I'm pretty happy with that. And I took the bad pictures out. I delete the bad pictures when I get back from a shoot, or maybe a few hours later or later on in the day, and just take the ones that I know that I'm not going to use, and just keep the ones that have possibilities, that have potential. There was a lady walking her dogs out in the beach in the distance, and this one I didn't have good angle because the lighting wasn't hitting that great right from where I was. But I did take a couple of pictures just for the heck of it. You never know what you can come away with. Sometimes you might get a picture that you didn't think it was good when you first got it, but then a little bit later you can do some editing and it might come out pretty good. I was a little bit more obsessed with the wind and the sand blowing, and took more pictures of that person standing out. As you can see, standing out by himself in the distance on the beach, which is kind of cool. More grass, and a bird flew by the man or the woman who was standing out there, and I decided to take a series of shots. So the light wasn't the best for the angle that I was at there, and it was still kind of the morning. The sun wasn't hitting full blast yet. I got to the pier, and the pier has, you can walk under it, which is really cool. And you can see it's got these patterns that in the morning you can see how that hits the pier, and it creates these patterns on the beach, on the shore, which is really cool. I turned around and saw that water tower again from a different angle on the beach. And now this is when it gets really interesting, because I walked to the other side of the pier, and lo and behold, I could see how the sun was hitting and how the angles were hitting off the legs of the pier, and it created nice little patterns. And there was, lucky for me, there was a person out there kind of towards the left who was just kind of standing out there. I think she was out there with another person, and they were just kind of walking around, and which was cool. I like to use people in the background as a decoration in my pictures, and you can see I have them up in the left-hand corner. I took several photos, using burst mode on this, and just trying to, there wasn't much action, but I wanted to get as many, maximize the possibility of getting a good shot. And the problem is that the sun was very prominent in the pictures, and it was blowing out my highlights. So I basically closed down my f-stop to about f13, and I tried to get in position where the sun would be blocked a little bit by the pier, but these shots I didn't do as good as that. And I don't know, I was kind of thinking to myself, I know I want to get some good photos. I wasn't too worried about the technicalities and the sun blocking the sun, the highlights blowing out, because I wanted to make sure that I got good photos first of all, and I did mostly. But as you can see, there is a little bit of highlight blowout, but I did eventually position myself where the pier would block some of the sun, and so I got some shots like that too. And it was it's hard to try to get into position and get everything to line up the way you want. You kind of get stuff that's random sometimes. You don't know, you don't have any control over what people are going to do, or the lighting. I just do the best I can to put myself in position to get a good picture. And I got lucky. There was a girl who was walking out there, and I just put her in the background, in the frame. I don't know, I prefer a portrait orientation on my shots. So I took a couple of portrait shots too, portrait style shots, and I just did multiple shots, multiple versions. And I got what I could out of there, and I told myself I'm gonna get something good. I had some ideas, some concepts in my head, but I just took what I could, and then I kept walking around. I didn't want to look like I was stalking those people. I don't want them to notice me too much. I want them to act natural and just be in the background and do their thing. And I just took the shots that I could, and without disturbing anybody or anything. Then I turned around a little bit and started taking pictures of the other side, which was kind of cool. And I saw some birds coming through in the distance, so I took some shots of a flock of birds coming through, which is really cool. They kind of flew above my head. I think I switched to a 35 millimeter at this point. And because I wanted to get some wide shots too. And the birds flew above my head, and I was hoping that, you know, they'd get a little closer to me, but I did what I could, and then they flew over me, and I had to turn around, and I still had the camera aimed up to the sky, and then I almost fell because, you know, I'm tracking the birds with the camera, and then, you know, I turned around and I see some more people walking underneath those the stands on the bridge, which was cool, and I got a picture of a runner coming through. I didn't really end up using some of these pictures with the runner, but I might go back and see if I can edit and see if I can get something out of one of those. But, you know, I ended up just taking the ones that I think I could use. But these were also pretty cool shots because I like to practice, and to me, you know, practicing is a big part of it. Even if you don't come away with good pictures, you practice, and the more pictures you take, the more chances you have of coming away with good pictures. So it's an art and science at the same time, and it's a practice. And just out there having fun, walking around, breathing the fresh air, enjoying the beach, enjoying the morning. It was breezy, super windy. I knew there were a whole lot of people weren't going to be there, which I like. I don't like it when it gets too crowded because some people tend to get in the way of what I'm trying to do. But that's my day that I had, and I just kind of want to show you my camera roll and my process. I did choose maybe 4 or 5 of those photos. It was probably more than that, and I narrowed them down to the ones that I could use. Some of them, the orientation on them, I had to kind of like level it out because it looks like the shoreline isn't totally level with the horizon. So the problem is if I had tilted the picture a little too much, it'll cut off the left side with where the person is standing. So I just had to kind of compromise and just say it's not going to be perfect. So I just want people to get the right idea with what I'm trying to do, and you can see with the lighting and my, you know, the way I placed the subject, just kind of get an idea of what I'm trying to do. It's not going to be perfect, and that's fine with me. Just get out there, make some art, and what comes of it, you know, let the cards fall where they may, and just enjoy it and do the best you can with what you got. And, you know, it's kind of sometimes spontaneous to what you get, which is kind of a cool thing. I like the art. Like I said, it's an art and a science. And I just want to share with y'all, show you how that works. And, you know, I ended up editing my photos in Snapseed, which is the editing program software that I use to edit. And then I just shared, you know, maybe 1 or 2 shots with some people and get some ideas of what people think, because sometimes I don't know what I think is going to be best, and I get some feedback from some people, but in the end, ultimately, I'm the one who decides what photos I'm going to use in the end. And this is the one that I used, and this is the last final photo out of all the ones that I got that I think is the best, and I'm just here to share it and let y'all know. I'm still taking photos out here, and I'm having a good time enjoying it. I hope you guys do the same thing. Hope this inspires somebody. You know, leave some comments, questions, suggestions, like my video, subscribe to my channel. Peace.